All right, everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Verneda. I am your anti-racist strategist and executive producer. And in this space, it is all things thriving in all of our event professions. And so it is Black History Month. Shout out to Black History is now, because the future of Black history is literally happening in this moment. So for all of our event creators out there, and want to give a huge shout out to the National Society of Black Wedding and Event Professionals, who over the last 5 years have literally created Black history within the event industry. So today we're going to get into a shorter topic, but an important one. This topic today is why your spiritual event guide matters. Why your spiritual event guide matters. So what I want to talk about this, because I also do a lot of conversations around gratitude, and it is in my experience that gratitude very much is connected to having a relationship with a higher source. Some people refer to that higher source as God, their higher selves, source, creator, or you may have something completely different, whatever it means to you. When it comes to your work as an event executive producer, having a spiritual connection is critical to maximizing your service as an event professional. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm going to touch on three things really quickly. One is maximizing your creative space. So what is the one thing that we are constantly being asked to do as event executive producers, as event professionals, is to be creative, to innovate, and basically make the world turn around in the other direction. And that spiritual connection allows for that creativity to flow. And whenever you might be feeling a block, like, hey, I have a problem that I don't know how to solve, do not be afraid to turn to spiritual practices to open the gates for that creativity to flow. For some people, that might be prayer. For others, that might be meditation. But I cannot tell you how many times I was racking my brain around, like, how am I going to get this solved? And taking a walk, meditating, allowing myself to connect with my spirituality, open the gates for that problem to be solved in a really creative manner, or to bring a creative idea to the table that no one had thought of. Number two, your spiritual guide is so important to the event production process, is because we deal with a lot of personalities as event producers. So I tell people all the time, people think I'm in the business of keeping the lights on, matching tablecloth, run of shows, video editing. No, no, no. I'm actually in the business of managing personalities. And if you are an event professional of any kind, you are also in the business of managing personalities. And managing those personalities require remaining cool, calm, and collected at all times. At all times. Now, it might be from the client side, it might be from your team, it might be a vendor, it might be a guest. At some point, you're going to have an interaction with someone that is going to test your strength to stay cool, calm, and collected. And you know what makes that easier? Is your spiritual maintenance before you come onto the scene. So before I even step into the space, before I'm even on site, anytime throughout the planning process, the day of, or even in the wrap up aftermath, it is I come to the table with my spirituality in place. I've meditated that morning. I've spent some time with God. I'm journaling. I call a friend. Don't forget about calling a friend, because that is definitely a spiritual practice. We're not meant to do this all on our own. So you have God and a friend and you, that is opening the doors to channel your energy in a positive way that'll allow you to navigate all the personalities, a ton of personalities. Okay, and then number three, it is being able to see things that you otherwise may not have seen. When you are connected to your spiritual source in the event space, I'm going to demonstrate this with a quick story. So in 2022, I was the executive producer of the Habitat for Humanity New York City and Westchester County Habitat House Party in New York City. And there was just an amazing story. I mean, it's already is Habitat for Humanity. They do such amazing work. the families that they support, the individuals, the children, all of the families that are impacted by affordable housing opportunities. But there was a really, really special story. Particularly, this is based in New York City, and for anyone that's familiar with gentrification, lots of areas of New York City, including Brooklyn, have really been attacked. Those families who have been there for generations, apartment buildings, single family homes, so many people have been pushed out either altogether or into the outskirts of New York City in the interest of development. Well, there was one apartment building I will never forget on Atlantic Avenue who really and truly embodied determination. And they did everything that they could. And in with support from Habitat, they were able to keep their building from being taken over by developers and all of those families having to find another place to live. So on the night of the gala, this was the original plan. The original plan was to have one representative from that apartment building to come on stage to share their story, to have a moment with the CEO. It was all nice and tight and buttoned up and ready to go. And then the actual moment occurred. There was such a genuineness about that homeowner, particularly as she was expressing her gratitude on behalf of all of her fellow tenants who were all sitting in the audience, really her fellow homeowners. This was like a co-op building. And they're in me as the executive producer. I'm watching what's happening on stage. I'm watching what's happening in the audience. I'm seeing how the fellow homeowners are getting so emotional and encouraged, and the CEOs on stage getting encouraged. And it suddenly occurred to me, and I know this was nothing but a spiritual move. I saw the moment that to break from the script, and I ran over to the table and I grabbed all of those fellow homeowners, the other 8 to 10 people, to come to the stage to share in that moment with their fellow homeowner, with the CEO. And then magic happened. The CEO totally grabbed onto it. And then the CEO called up all of the team members, everybody from Habitat for Humanity who had touched that project. The next thing I know, I went from 2 people on stage to 30 people on stage that visually and emotionally showed the true impact of Habitat's work. That, of course, translated into the dollars that they raised that night. But I knew in that moment, I did not come up with that idea. That idea, the swiftness of movement, the magic that occurred on that stage that night, which was totally unscripted, that came from my spiritual source. And it was the talk of the town the day after that particular event. And my client wanted me back after that. So I would say, if you do not have a spiritual connection now between your work and events and the impact that you are making with your work, I would just encourage you to start now. Just start now. Just start with a 5-minute meditation. Start with a 1-minute meditation. But before you hit that stage, before you get on site, expand the opportunities of the magic that can be made in that room in real time when you are connected to your spiritual source. I knew in that moment, the hand of God moved me. If I had hesitated for 1 second, the moment would have been missed. But I was being tapped in to your spiritual event guide. It matters. So tap in next week. We will be back next Tuesday night with more videos and tips for event professionals. Verneda Adele, you can hit me on Instagram at Verneda Adele. Tap in for a consultation. If you are looking for event production support for your event this year, our team would love to help you. Tap in at Verneda Adele or hit us up at info@humanintonation.com by email. And we'll see you next week. And let the world know how you'll use your hot sauce today.